Hi everyone, Shelly here, coming to you from my bedroom today because I'm having some tech issues down in my studio and I don't have the time to fix that right now. So I just decided to come up here and be in my bedroom and it'll just be fine. I have a topic today that was brought to me by a longtime client. She wanted to talk a little bit about problems with overeating, and I think I'm going to assume comfort eating and just those habits around overindulgence. And I want to say, first off, I have done a lot of thought on this over the years. I've prayed a great deal about it because I've struggled with it since I was a child. So I want to say that for me, healthy, balanced eating is a practice. It is not something that I have perfected or would ever, until I do, profess to have perfected in my life. But because of my connection with the spiritual guides, I do have a lot of wisdom to share about it. So I hate to say this, but in terms of this teaching, I'm a little bit about like do as I say, not as I do. Although I will say I have evolved quite a bit. So I guess you could do that. We could just continue to evolving. Um, Continue evolving. Before we begin, let's just take a deep breath. And wherever you are, if you're in your car, if you're at the office, if you're listening on headphones and taking a walk, or maybe you're just sitting, if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. If you cannot, just bring your awareness inside and take a deep breath. Let the threads of the outer world go. Let the connections with the outer world go. And just bring your awareness into yourself, into your third eye, into your heart, and call upon your spiritual guides that as you listen to this talk today, that you are able to receive the messages that are right for you, and also the healing energy that's available from having the spiritual guides' presence. Just open yourself up to healing. Specifically healing any and all issues concerning eating and anything around eating that has caused an imbalance in your body. If when we eat too much sugar or carbohydrates for too long, obviously we can put on weight, we can develop diabetes, we can develop hypoglycemia. So anything that you've developed or afraid that you might develop, also just offer that up for healing. There is healing energy around us, just like the air. I mean, it's here. We can connect with it at any time. It is just remembering that we have that ability and we can apply it to anything. We can apply it to our mental health, we can apply it to our habits. And the way that I do it is I have an image of the divine and I don't do my best not to hide what I want to heal. We have a tendency, especially with food issues, to kind of have a lot of shame around it. I have a lot of shame around what's quote unquote wrong with us. And we will even hide that from the divine and from our spiritual guides as if we could. But a real healing is to go, to offer it. So every day, as you start your day, one thing that you can do is offer this issue of overeating, overindulgence, into to your spiritual guides, to the divine, and help me eat in a balanced way, help me want to eat in a balanced way. I think everyone, if you're interested in this topic, you've already tried the deprivation route where we just don't, we push it all away, we're no sugar, we're not going to do that, and it never lasts. So it's really about learning to be deeply in tune with yourself and with your body to eat in a way that is very intuitive, very free, very enjoyable, but also like we have this inner thing that goes, that's enough, and I don't need to fill my emotional, mental, or trauma spots with this food. So let's dive in. So as soon as I got this, sorry, I got distracted by my phone. Let me have a look. For those of you who have school age kids, you kind of know, like when they're away at school, I've always got because, he texts me throughout the day. Okay. So as soon as I got this email from my client asking for this topic, within minutes, I had a download. So let's go over what the guide said. And remember, throughout this talk, just keep tuning in with yourself, knowing that healing is possible. It can take a very long time. I believe even lifetimes to heal wounds around food and eating. I was born into a family where there were weight issues and food issues on both sides, mom and dad's side. And, all of us kids inherited those issues. And in my astrological chart, I can't remember what it was. It might have been Jupiter. I think we were doing it online, and you can't see my weight for the most part online. But she said, "Oh, do you have weight issues?" And I said, "Yeah, since I was a teenager." And she said, "Yeah, it's on your chart." So it was like written in the stars, like you are going to have these issues. So I do think, it's just really deeply ingrained. If you think about food, it's just so fundamental to our survival. It is the first need that our parents provide for us, to keep us alive. It has everything to do with our attachment. It's the first development of our relationship with our mother and father, because we cry out for food and they bring it, or they don't bring it, or they bring it and they're stressed, or they bring it and they're loving. It's like, how, to go even that far back, like, how did we even receive this? Now, of course, most of us don't know how we were, what the energy was behind how we were fed by our parents. So we just need to start where we can. And we want to, a lot of us can know when we developed a problem with eating. Think back on it. Like, I can remember when I started gaining weight, I was a fairly normally weighted child until I was about 11 or 12. That's when I really noticed. Maybe I was a little bit, actually, now that I think about it, I remember being 10 and getting weighed at school and feeling embarrassed how much I weighed. So that was 10, fifth grade. So it happened pretty young for me. When did it start for you? Were you a child? It's very important to contemplate this and do some writing upon it. This is a writing assignment for those of you, here's the other thing I want to say I always, for those of you who worked with me personally, I love to give homework. You doing the homework is going to advance you greatly. The guides provide this homework as, it is a guidance, and it will take you further. It is a step that's necessary. So, but there's no, it's not like you'd feel bad if you don't do it. It's just, if you want to move forward, you do the things the guides bring forth. So do some writing on this. When did this start? And also ask yourself, emotionally, what was going on in my life at that time? How did I feel most of the time? Did I feel loved? Did I feel supported? Were there things going on around me that were scary? Um, and you'll start to really more deeply understand why you began overeating, why you began using it as a crutch or as a cover up. But it's important to begin to understand that, because the healing of the eating is really about self-discovery. It's really about getting in tune with yourself and understanding the wounding and trauma that led to the desire to overeat. I realize I keep looking down, and that was something I wanted to work on. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to reprint this, but I keep looking down, and I'm learning. So now I remember I've got to look right there. Okay, right there. Okay. Sorry about that. So do that. That's a homework, that kind of self-discovery. Now, secondly, and this can go back to what was happening then when it started, but also now. This is easy to discover now, is to sit down and contemplate and write, what does food bring me now? In the good way. Whenever we're trying to change a habit, we want to understand what we get from it. We so often focus on trying to cut it out. I should stop this habit. I should stop doing it. But we want to understand, like, well, what am I getting from it? Because obviously I'm getting something that I really want from it. So that's step number one. Step number two, and again, I'm trying to figure out if I'm still learning how to, like, look. Yeah. You guys, I just feel like whoever would want to watch my videos is going to be so sweet. Like, you're not going to care. Just listen to the words. Okay. Secondly, once we're able to name what it is that we get, we want to start implementing ways that we can get it differently. Okay. So, for example, one of the things I've recognized in my life of why I overeat is just simply pleasure. It tastes good. I'm seeking pleasure. And yes, I think that when I was younger, I did not have enough pleasure in my life. I didn't have enough real enjoyment. There was a lot of stress that I was carrying inside my body, inside my mind, and in my feelings. And so eating was a way to have pleasure. So one way that I've worked on curing eating for pleasure is to do pleasurable things in other ways. And I have to be mindful about doing that. And it's a lifestyle. It's not like, oh, I'm having a longing for a brownie. No, no, I'm gonna go do. I try to make my whole life more pleasurable. I do try to do things that I love to do. I try to do simple things like I love nature. It's like I really want, and I've been working on this all summer, just going in my beautiful backyard and sitting and just taking 5 minutes to enjoy the day. Because I have a tendency, once I get working, once I get going, I'm like a kind of a taskmaster, which I love getting stuff done. Pleasurable, it's not pleasurable in that way. So name what it is and then name how can I implement this into my whole lifestyle, not just into a moment, but I need more of this. It might be comfort. If you need more comfort in your life, how can you give yourself more comfort? It doesn't have to be huge ways. It could be small ways. Go out to Marshall's. My son just came home last night with this really warm, fuzzy little Halloween blanket. Yeah, on the couch with a warm, fuzzy blanket. Now, you may discover, and this may be hindering some of you, sometimes it's big stuff. Sometimes it might come down to our relationships with our loved ones. It might come down to our job. And that's a little bit harder to look at, but you will not find a cure for anything that ails you by refusing to look at it. It doesn't mean that you've got to leave the company, leave the relationship necessarily, but at least be willing to say, I think I stress eat because, my husband, my wife, my girlfriend, my son, my daughter, my mother, whatever, stress me out. And that's how I'm dealing with the stress of the situation. Just at least be willing to name it. So if the answer is stress, I'm eating because I'm stressed, then we need to implement in our lifestyle things that are de-stressing. The one thing I want to say, you guys, is when it comes to changing these small habits is just we need to change. We need to create transformation in our lives. And sometimes one of the biggest ways to create this change is to do something drastic for a short amount of time, like just like fast for a day or go. I'll tell you recently, one thing that drastically changed my life was I went on a week-long meditation retreat. And that propelled me forward in a way that making small changes was not. Spirit will guide you to what you need to do if you just answer these questions and be willing to really look at it in a more deep way than you have. And don't be afraid by the answers you get. No, God is, or nobody's trying to take anything away from you. Maybe they're trying to take, yeah, the brownies. I'm just saying that because I made brownies yesterday, and and yeah, so brownies are on my mind. Okay, so the 3 steps. First step is you want to, where did this go? Where did this begin? What was I feeling? That you're really needing to reclaim some lost part of yourself. This is what the key to changing this eating habit is. Secondly, knowing what does the food bring me? Why do I overeat? What's the pleasure in the eating? And then how else can I bring this into my life? Now, in the moment, if you find yourself like reaching for the brownie and you just know, like, no, I already had a brownie today, or I don't need this, I don't really want it. My brain wants it, my emotions might want it, but my body doesn't want this. How do we snap ourselves out of that craving? And this is from the guides, but it's also been well documented in other kind of like healthy eating programs. But well, maybe not. I'll just say it the way I say it. First of all, become aware. Take a breath, and close your eyes and just try your best to become very, very present. And you can say to yourself, I'm aware I'm having a craving. Because awareness it will win the day when it comes to these kind of issues. Most of us overeat in the dark, so to speak. We kind of go into, I used to call it like, oh, fuck it. Like I would be really good throughout the day, and then I would get to this place where the craving for some sweet, sugary carbs would overtake me, and I'd go, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it tomorrow. That was not in my conscious self. That was coming from a more subconscious, darker place within me that didn't know how to have that kind of conflict with my son, didn't know how to resolve the conflict. And so it's like, I'm going to get out of this feeling by eating. I'm going to go the old route. So you want to just slow down and say to yourself, I'm having a craving right now. And then you can ask yourself, what do I really want? So powerful. Take a moment to write it down. Now, I'm telling you, you are not going to tell yourself you can't have the thing. At the end of this process, you may go have the brownie. You may go indulge. But you want to ask yourself, what do I really want? And I think I'm just thinking for myself with the brownies. It's kind of fun, right? Even for me, eating brownies is like fun, right? And so I think in those moments, if I even just kind of like broke off and went and had a conversation with my husband or son, my son is very fun. Not my husband's so funny too, but my son will get me laughing. Go have a conversation with somebody I love. Go do something. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take a break from this craving and go do something fun or whatever it is. Give myself comfort if that's what it is. Do something de-stressing. I'm going to breathe for 5 minutes if that's what it is. And if at the end of this process, I still want to have a brownie, then I'll have it. But I guarantee you, if you do go have the brownie, it will be less than you would have if you were just rah, 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 because you will have actually fulfilled your need. And then you won't need that brownie. The other interesting thing about eating to fulfill our needs is that it doesn't really work. Or like I said in the beginning, it only works for a moment. It's like, "Nom, nom, 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 nom." And then that real deep need for pleasure in my life is not really satisfied. Um, yeah. Okay. Those are the main topics. The last topic is to do the practice that we did in the beginning. And we're going to end this talk with a little meditation of, and this goes for everything in our lives. We need a connection with universal life force, love, goodness, whatever you want to call it. I just had a discussion with a colleague of mine this morning about the word God. And how I mean, for years for me, it was a real trigger word, and it is a trigger word for some people. But if that's your word, that's your word. But we're talking about, and it's funny when we talk about the words of this divine energy, because it really is, in some ways, such an experience. No words can really contain it. But y'all know what I'm talking about. And I hope so much for you that you've had an experience of this universal energy, this life force, this source, because there's just that will change your life if you let that light touch you. um but we all need that relationship. We deeply need it. If we don't have it, something, because it's who we are, we are in essence spirit. So every problem, but let's go back specifically to this problem of eating. Before each meal, but when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, just hand the issue to God, to guru, to light, to love, whatever you want to call it. Um, Om vibration, Archangel Michael. I'm going to go on and on. Wouldn't it be funny if one day I just do a video of me just like saying different, like Kuan Yin, Sandalphon, Metatron. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful. I think it's like I feel like I just discovered chanting. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what the people, this is what the monks in India do when they chant. They're just saying the name of God in all the different ways that it's said. Okay. Let's do a short meditation to close this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you have anything else you want me to speak on before I close, I just want to my guides are always so 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1, when did this first start? Right, do self-discovery. 2, what does it bring me? 3, how can I implement this more and more into my life? Part 4, when you have a craving, take a beat, recognize I'm having a craving. Ask yourself, what do I really want? And do some small gesture to give it to yourself. And if at the end of all that, you still want the brownie, go have it. And then the last thing is giving it to the divine, which is what we're going to do very quickly right now. This won't be long. So wherever you are in your car, out and about, or somewhere quiet, take a deep breath. Let go. Let go of tension. Let go of the body. Bring your awareness into your third eye chakra in your forehead. Relax your jaw. Pull into your mind's eye an image of the divine that you feel comfortable with, an image of a being who is loving, who is comforting, who cares for you. And now imagine that you are offering up the habit of overeating, the habit of indulging in unhealthy foods. Hand it over. I want you to just hand it over. Feel the relief. Help me. Help me heal this wound. Help me fulfill within me in a soulful way what needs to be fulfilled. Help me live a life of balance. Relax your body and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. Forgive yourself for this quote unquote shortcoming. You are a light in this world. You are a light. You are a soul. You are vast. That's who you really are. This issue lives within your limited place. It's in a limited, dark place. The more you connect with your light self, the more you connect with your soul, spirit energy, the more balanced you will become with eating and in all ways. So send gratitude to this guide, to this image of the divine, thanking this divine source for your healing. Home peace, amen. And the last thing I want to say is just have patience. It just takes time. Just take it one day at a time. And, one thing that really helps me is that I think sometimes of people that I admire who have struggled with eating and food and how I just still love them and admire them. And I try to apply that to myself. Like, that's just one small part. That struggle is just one small part of who we are. We are a lot of other really spectacular things. So love yourselves well. And let me know if there's anything else you want me to tune in about. And we will see each other soon. Love you guys.